I shouldn't be saying this. God, I know they're probably already monitoring every word I type. But I can't take it anymore, the silence, the waiting. If I don't get this out now, it'll die with me. I worked for them. The project. It wasn't called that officially, of course. The official name was a string of meaningless acronyms designed to confuse anyone who stumbled across it. But among ourselves, in the sterile white corridors that smelled like antiseptic and fear, we called it Genesis. Because that's what it was supposed to be, the beginning of something new. The mandate was simple, at least on paper: create the perfect soldier. Not a man this time. A woman. The logic, if you could call it that, was unnervingly clinical. Women could blend in, manipulate, infiltrate in ways men couldn't. They wanted someone who could charm with a smile and kill with her bare hands. Someone stronger, faster, smarter. Not just better than us, beyond us. The higher-ups didn't care what it cost. Ethics boards were bypassed, data was buried under a mountain of classified files. We were told we were serving the nation, protecting it from threats no one else could even imagine. And we believed it, at least in the beginning. But the truth? The truth is that we weren't creating a protector. We weren't creating a soldier. We were tampering with things we didn't understand, reaching into the dark and pulling something out. Something that should have stayed buried. And her name, God help me for even writing this, was Eve. Her name before the project was erased from every record. We weren't allowed to call her anything except Subject Eve. But sometimes, when no cameras were around, we slipped and called her by the old name. She'd smile when we did. A real smile, not the cold rehearsed kind. At first, she wasn't what I expected. She wasn't some hardened killer plucked from the military's ranks. She was ordinary, in a way. Bright, articulate, and calm, with a kind of quiet strength. She had these piercing gray eyes, always studying us, like she was trying to solve a puzzle. But she was polite, cooperative, even warm. I think some of us, God, I think I, started to care about her. It's embarrassing to admit now, but when you spend 12-hour shifts monitoring someone, speaking with them, guiding them through endless cognitive and physical evaluations, it stops feeling like research. She laughed at our bad jokes, asked about our lives outside the lab. She even drew sketches on the corner of her notebooks, strange, delicate things. Trees with roots that tangled into shapes like veins, faces that seemed almost too detailed to come from memory. There was always something beneath the surface, though. Attention. Like the calm before a thunderstorm. Sometimes she would go silent, staring at her reflection in the observation glass as if she knew it wasn't just a mirror, that we were all behind it, watching. We told ourselves she trusted us. That she was on our side. That she wanted this as much as we did. But now, looking back, I can't help but wonder if we were the ones being studied all along. The process was never meant to be gentle. It wasn't surgery or therapy, it was reforging a human being from the inside out. We started with injections, modified viral vectors carrying strands of genetic material no human genome was ever meant to touch. Some of it was harvested from deep-sea organisms, some from archived extraterrestrial samples recovered from crash sites we weren't cleared to know about. Splicing, stitching, rewriting. Her blood became a battlefield. At first, she was sick. Fevers that rattled her bones, tremors that shook the restraints we kept her in. Her hair began falling out, only to regrow twice as thick, darker, almost metallic in the light. Muscle fibers reinforced themselves overnight. Neural activity spiked so violently that our monitoring equipment burned out. Then came the machinery. Hulking steel frames with arms like surgeons, fitted with invasive sensors and resonance chambers. We called it harmonic adaptation. She'd lie in a nest of wires while we pulsed her with frequencies designed to accelerate cellular restructuring. Most subjects in earlier trials didn't last more than 10 minutes. Eve stayed under for hours. Her body changed faster than our data models could track. Skin knitting around injection sites before the needle was even withdrawn. Bone density readings climbing beyond measurable thresholds. And the look in her eyes, when she opened them in the chamber, when she stared through the glass, it was no longer just intelligence. It was awareness. We celebrated breakthroughs. We published fake reports to cover the funding. We toasted with champagne in plastic lab cups when she shattered performance metrics. But late at night, when the lights dimmed and her breathing filled the observation room, I couldn't shake the thought that she wasn't adapting to us. We were the ones adapting to her. We had protocols. Containment drills. Emergency lockdowns rehearsed until we could perform them in our sleep. But none of it mattered when it finally happened. It started small. During a routine strength test, Eve's vitals spiked, higher than we'd ever recorded. She wasn't straining. She wasn't even trying. She just stood there, holding the weighted apparatus like it was a feather. The sensors began to glitch, reading numbers so high the system flagged them as impossible. Dr. Kessler, our lead biophysicist, stepped inside the containment chamber to recalibrate the machine. He was calm. He trusted her. We all did. And then. It was like a switch flipped. Her eyes, once soft and almost kind, sharpened into something predatory. She didn't speak. She didn't warn. She just moved. 1 second Kessler was standing there with his clipboard, the next he was pinned to the wall, ribs snapping under her grip like twigs. The alarms screamed. Guards poured in, weapons drawn. She threw Kessler aside like a broken doll and turned on the glass, our glass, pounding it with her fists. Reinforced polymer, rated to withstand explosives, she cracked it in 3 strikes. We scrambled for lockdown protocols, our hands slipping on keyboards slick with sweat. But it was useless. Every measure we'd built was designed to contain a woman. And Eve was no longer a woman. When the glass finally gave way, and she stepped into the observation deck, all I could think, through the chaos, the screaming, the blood, was how calm she looked. Not angry. Not frenzied. Just, free. That was the night subject Eve breached containment. And everything we thought we controlled unraveled in seconds. The hallways dissolved into chaos the moment she broke free. Sirens blared, strobing red lights turned every surface into a pulsing wound, and the intercom barked orders none of us could follow. Soldiers flooded in, rows of armored men, rifles raised, voices trembling as they shouted for her to stand down. She didn't even slow. Bullets tore into her, but they might as well have been rain. Her body absorbed the impacts with sickening ease, muscle tissue shifting under her skin like something alive. She moved too fast to track, one moment on the far side of the corridor, the next tearing through an entire squad with a single sweep of her arm. I'll never forget the sound. Not the gunfire, not the screaming, the silence that followed. She stood there, surrounded by broken bodies, head tilted slightly, as though listening to something only she could hear. We tried containment doors. She ripped them apart. Gas protocols. She walked through the clouds like they were mist on a morning field. Flamethrowers. She didn't even flinch. I remember sprinting through the lower levels, swiping my clearance card over and over with shaking hands, knowing every second she was getting closer. People I'd known for years, colleagues, friends, were torn apart behind me, their cries cut short in ways that still wake me at night. And then, impossibly, she was gone. One moment the cameras caught her tearing through Gate 7, the next the feeds went dark. When systems rebooted, all we saw was the twisted wreckage of the perimeter fence, alarms wailing into the open night. Subject Eve had left the facility. And God help us, she wasn't running away. She was moving forward. They shut the project down, at least officially. Files scrubbed, staff reassigned, survivors sworn to silence under threats I don't dare repeat. But that doesn't erase what we unleashed. It doesn't erase her. In the weeks after the breach, reports started surfacing. Unexplained